everybody. So, yay, you guys made it. I switched the time on this one so it'd be a little bit earlier. And we're going 3 to 4 today instead of what our normal would be 6 to 7. So I'm glad you guys made it. We've got Jen Marker here, Christy Essen, Jill Lucas, Kelly Leese, and Carol Grove so far from Michigan. Hi, guys. So we are working on the next Bloobel Progressive Challenge image, and it is this cute little fairy. I'm almost positive I linked her below, but let me double check. Yep. So if you look in the description box below the video, the very first little sentence will tell you that it is a bloobel.com. And I also put that in my my little thing that I put into the live chat. So if you're not, whoopsie-doo, that's not the one I want. If you're watching this archived and not live, you're not able to see that. But if you're watching archived, you can look right below in the description box and you'll find that link. It'll link you directly to this fairy. If you're not looking for this fairy, if you want a different one, you can just find them on the store. That'll link you right in there. I think you just click on home and you can find all the other ones that she offers. Well, we've got Tamara Slattery from Missouri. Janice Walters. Hi, Carol Grove. I'm not so sure we're going to wait the whole 5 minutes this time, although I was going to do a little review of things that I've already done. Sometimes there's new people that come in and they're like, wow, I've never seen your channel before. And so I just wanted to maybe get into the habit of showing you things that we've done. Recently, we did little donut boxes, and so I've got several of them here to show you. I made these after the fact because we did 2 cards during the video, but if you didn't get to see the donuts, they are so cute. You're going to want to go back and check out that video. Here are the cards that I made with the donuts that we created. Really fun. And just before that, we made some really interesting vellum flowers. So if you haven't had a chance to check those out, they are really pretty. There we go. So pretty. So if you want to get an idea of how to make these vellum flowers, we've got a video for you on that. And then I will probably be having a couple of these little donut guys for those, my friends who have a hard time making teeny tiny things like this. I'll be putting a couple in my shop just in case if you really wanted to have one. You can get your hands on one and won't have to go through the trouble of making them. So there's just a few of those. Oh, from Marshfield. That's awesome. That's really close to where I grew up in Wausau. How cool. So if you're watching us live right now, you're going to notice that there are people whose names are in blue with a little like tool next to them. They are moderators. So thank you guys for being here. Kelly Leese, Jen Marker, and I think, did I see Esther come in? Let me go back up. Oh, she might be coming. I don't know. I'm in the middle of the afternoon, so probably a couple of people who are used to coming in the evenings won't make it here. Oh, wow. Hello from Australia. How cool is that? Hearts for Australia. Do you guys bring your drink today and put your jammy pants on so we can just hang out and color? Cheers, guys. So when I print mine, I print it on 110-pound Nina White cardstock. And I always print 4, and then I just cut them as a regular card front, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And you'll notice on this one, before we get started, that in the already colored one, she's so adorable, isn't she? Do you see her little eyes where we've got the blue, a little bit of white for her white, the blue for her irises, and then the black for her pupil? In the image that you get from the store, she's going to look like this. You have to fill that part of her eyes in. So you can play with that, get creative, and make any kind of color or shape or whatever you want to do with her eyes. Is just really fun. So the image that we're coloring is really open to your interpretation, and it can turn out a million different sort of ways. Today I'm going to be using Spectrum Noirs because I'm really comfortable with those. They're very similar to Copics if you're not familiar, except for the fact that instead of a brush end, they have a little bullet end. And then on the other side, they have a chisel end. I use the chisel end mostly for coloring really large areas or coloring paper to match my project. And I use the little bullet nib end for coloring in the smaller spaces. So if you want to get a gist of what colors I'm using today, I'm just going to give you, these might not be all of them. I just grabbed the ones that I can remember that I used. It looks like I'm missing the blue for the eyes, so I may have to grab a blue for that. But while we're waiting, let me just turn on, we're going to start in just 2 minutes if you guys need to get a drink or anything. So here are the colors that we're going to use today. Let's hope we can get this just a little bit clearer for you guys. Okay, a TN2, a TN5, GB5, PP2, LV2, LV3, CG4, CG2, and LY1. Okay, and then I'm going to grab the blue one too. Oh wow, 6 p.m. there, huh? It is 3 o'clock here in the afternoon. Let me grab a blue one for her eyes because I really do like that color. It may end up just changing that slightly. I went ahead and grabbed a TB3 and a TB5. It's like 88 degrees here in Madison. So I'm going to turn off the autofocus and just bring you guys in, and we're going to start coloring. I'm going to stick to as close to the colors that I used on her as I can. Let me back out just a little bit because I want to make sure that you can see them both, just so you can get kind of a reference of how we're doing this. I really feel like when I do these colorings, for some reason, if it's the, I don't know if it's the time of day or the lights, that it's not as clear as it could be, so just give me some feedback on that. I'm using one extra marker from my Do Crafts Artiste marker set because it gives me this really fun hair flicking in here where you see all these little parts to her hair. That's this, because these have a really teeny tiny brush tip that you can get really, really fine lines with. And so I'm using that to go over the top. So you can mix and match markers too. You can mix and match alcohol markers with regular water-based markers and all that kind of thing. You can mix other alcohol markers with other alcohol markers. Whatever you have, you know, just be creative what you have, and don't feel like you have to have the whole set, because I forget how many Spectrum Noir even has, 144 markers or some crazy thing like that. I don't use all 144. It'd be in your best interest to go and pick out the colors that you feel that really draw you in and that you enjoy using, and buy those first, and then expand as you feel like you need one more or two more other colors, okay? You don't have to use the exact same ones, Lisa. If you don't have a PP2, you could use a PP3, PP4, a PP1. The pink is really going to be just the flowers in her hair right here. And by all means, change up the colors. If you don't like the yellow with the green, you can make all of this purple. Maybe her dress is purple and yellow. It doesn't really matter. I'm just going to show you how I color with them. And I'm going to start with her hair. Actually, I think I'm going to start with her skin. And I'm going to use the PP2 a little bit on her cheeks too. But you can always go a lot lighter with the cheeks. They don't have to be dark or pink. That's totally up to you. So for her skin right now, I'm going to start with a TN2 and see how that looks. And sometimes I forget her ears, so I'm going to start with her ear. And I'm just going to go around all of her little hair and her little eyebrows, because her eyebrows in this one were a little bit darker brown. Like I said, I'll just try to do it pretty much the same as what you see in the picture. So I'll give you kind of a reference point as to where we are and where we're going. And I'm kind of skipping over her lips just because I'm going to put pink on her lips as well. You don't have to. She can have very natural lips if you want. After all, she's a fairy. She can have green skin if that's what you want. But I'm just giving her a light tan skin. You can even color her fingernails if you want. I'm leaving the little fingernails white to the best of my ability. And then I'm going to color her skin. Now, maybe you don't want this to be skin down here. Maybe you want this to be a colored tight, like she's got some nylons on or something, and maybe they're going to be purple, or maybe they're going to be clear sparkle. I mean, use your imagination when you're coloring these guys. These are magical creatures. I believe that's what she called it this month, the magical creatures. It's really up to you to give them life of their own. And you don't have to color anything the way I've colored it. I apologize, I was out of frame just a tad. And then I'm going to bring in a little bit darker, oops, I grabbed the wrong one, a TN5, which is quite dark. I probably didn't need to go quite that dark. But I'm going to use this one to darken up the edges. It's super dark, so we'll see what we get out of this one. This will be different for me. I'm just going along the very edges of where her hair and her skin meet, and a little bit around the edge of her cheek. And anywhere I think that there might be a little bit of a shadow, I'll add a little bit. And then I go back in with the TN2, which is the light one that we started off with, and blend that out. So sometimes you'll get a really nice blend that you like, and sometimes you won't, and then you'll use that to determine how you color your next images in the future. You'll sometimes like find one that you really, really love, and then that's just the color combination that you stick with because it makes you happy. You don't have to do anything specifically as the pros do or as I do or anyone else does. Coloring is about what makes you happy and like how you like it to look. So I'm just going to put in a little bit of shadows here. I did a little bit of that in the previous one as well. And then always go back in and blend it out a little bit. Even if you only have, you know, like I'm only using 2 colors here. I know some colorists who use 3, 4, 5 colors and just go over it and over it, you know, 6, 7 times. I'm not that patient of a colorer. I want to be able to color it and, you know, blend it out, and then that is good enough for me. Because I want to move on and do my creating and my card making. So you can see that there is a little bit of shadow there. I do like that dark color with that light. That looks really pretty. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make, if you notice that her hair, the edges of her hair are really, really super light. So that I got that by just putting a very light yellow down first, which is my LY1. So Lisa, if you only have a TN2 and not a TN5, use the TN2 and then double up on the TN2. So do it all in TN2 and then do the edges with TN2 again until you get a little bit of a darker of a shade. You can double darken with the same color. I hope that makes sense. 1 second. Oh, well, he'll have to wait. I think he forgot that I was doing a video today. So I'm going to color in all of the hair that light yellow first so that that hangs out the bottom after, because then I'm going to go over the top of it. Like I said, we can mix these. This is an alcohol marker, but in the end you're going to see that I'm going to add a water-based marker as well. The yellow and browns are forgiving too, in a way that if you overlap her skin and her hair, it won't be that stark of a difference. I don't know how to explain that, but if you, sometimes these markers tend to bleed out, so you have to be careful like how close to the edge you get, but the way I'm doing it, you won't have to worry about that as much. So I'm going to come back in with the TN5. This one's a little bit darker than what I used before. I think I'm not. I'm going to go in with the TN2. I'm going to make her hair with the TN2 and do some of the lines of her hair. This is very, very light. You're probably not even really picking up, probably not even picking that up, but it is darkening up that yellow a little bit. And then after I do this a little bit and darken up that hair, then I'm going to go in with that other marker. Alrighty, so now we've got a little bit of that brown in her hair. And you can play around with it too. You can just do whatever colors you want. You can add in some red in her hair. Let's say maybe you wanted a maybe an auburn hair with like, maybe you want to add in a little patch coming down of blue. I mean, try things out, experiment, have fun with it. These are magical creatures. I'm going to turn her upside down so that all my flicks are going the right way. And I'm going to be really mindful of where I'm putting them. Coming from the top of the head, going down, and making sure that some overlap just so that it doesn't look like we're just drawing in random lines, that it's actually her hair coming, sprouting down from there. A couple of tips there for right into the edges of her hair that come down, that fall down to the bottom. And then you could take an even darker marker. I've got a little bit of hair right down here by her neck. I'm going to throw in a couple of just little light touches down there as well. Not a lot, because like I said, I want that blonde to show through. I want her to look like her hair's been a little bit bleached by the sun. And you can just keep flicking in those hairlines until it gets to the point that you like the way it looks. I added some other darker colors to my original one so you can see the difference in the hair. Two different looks. But I like that pixie yellow, so I'm going to leave that. I'm not going to darken it up, but you certainly could. And if you added in a little, like this is the TN5, I don't want to darken it up anymore. I want to leave it just like that. But you can keep adding color if you don't like the look of that. I'm going to leave that like light pixie. She almost looks sandy blonde there, more so than the reddish auburn here. So I'm going to leave that just the way it is. And then we're going to try coloring in the blue for her eyes. And so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to color in this whole like sort of circle where her iris should be with blue on both sides. Now be careful because these markers do bleed, and if you get too close to the edge you're going to have blue bleeding into her eyes. But see, now notice the difference between her eyes now that you have to add in the rest of the teeny tiny features to her eyes, otherwise she just looks blank, you know. Don't leave her blank. Give her, and you can put the pupils wherever you want. I'm going to grab a different kind of a marker for doing that though. Where did I put it? Here we go. I'm going to use one of these little Zig markers just because they're tinier, and so I can get a little bit more precision in what I'm doing with that. I want to be really careful about how I add those. See, it looks grainy to me. Is this pretty clear to you? I hope so. I keep thinking that maybe I need to invest in one more camera just for the down shot. I'm not sure. Okay, so I'm going to try to do a little bit different with her eyes. Instead of putting her pupils up like she's kind of gazing up, I'm going to maybe, I don't know, maybe put them more to the left and see how that looks. And so I'm just making a circle. And it looks a lot more natural if the circle isn't right in the center, but if it's like touching an edge. And so that's what I'm going for. So now instead of having her looking straight up, she kind of looks like she's looking off to the left. Yeah, it's a little bit grainy. I apologize for that. I'm working that out as I get a lot better with my camera skills, and maybe I'll do a little bit more research. I can get a camera that's a little bit clearer. But now we're just going to go ahead and add in a little bit of white reflection to just really bring that eye to life. So I'm going to use my white gel pen, and you can get that in my store. And you can put these lines anywhere you want. So I added a couple of lines to hers this time. And it looks very much different than the original eyes that I did. I mean, her whole facial expression looks completely different just because of the eyes. So cute. This character is so adorable. And truly, this is one of the easier ones to color as well. I hope you feel that way too. Alrighty, and so let's see. Now let's add a little bit. I'm going to use this marker from the Do Craft to match the hair that I put in, and to just color these little eyebrows. And that makes them stand out a little bit. That's really cute. And then I'm going to blend in a little bit of pink into her cheeks and her lips. So I'm going to use my PP2. You can use a PP1 or a PP3 or whatever you have. I mean, you can use a watercolor marker if you want, if you're very careful, you're gentle about using it. And then I'm going to blend it out with my light TN2, because that was the color of her skin. So if you're adding a pink, you want to add a little pink to the cheek, up from the cheekbone down a little bit, and then stop. And then use your skin tone that you use to blend out the edges, and just kind of flick it out a little bit, because you want it to blend. And then it looks kind of blocky, but if you let that dry, that's going to blend in even further. I think that's enough pink to her cheeks. I'm not going to make them like super, super pink, and then I'm just going to add a little bit of that. Now, another technique you can use for her little nose is to make the bridge of the nose going up, but sometimes when I add that, I feel like I ruin her face. So just for today, I'm not going to add the bridge to her nose, but that's another technique you can try. I did too. I got the dragon as well. Because after she came out, I wanted this gal, and then she came out with that other one, and then she came out with another fairy, and I got that fairy too. Cheers, guys. I'm glad you could make it. I hope that a few more people will join us post. I think me bringing this in at a different time of day kind of threw people off. I'm just going back in with that same pink and just coloring the flower petals, but I'm not coloring them all the way out. I like to leave a little white in my flowers to make them look a little bit more realistic. So I don't color the whole thing. And then I put two little jewels in her flowers right here and here, so I'll probably do that too. So I'm not going to even bother coloring them. But if you don't have jewels, then maybe you just want to grab like a yellow. This is more of a golden yellow. It's a GB5. And you could just color in the dots. See, it kind of mixes right in with the color of her hair. But I'm going to add some little gems over the top of that. Maybe some pearls this time. Matter of fact, let me just grab those. Yeah, I think I'm going to let's do a couple of little pearls. I think that would be really cute. like a really good time for you guys, or is this kind of an awkward time of the day for you? I'm just curious because I just personally wanted it to be done before I had dinner today. So it's a selfish reason, right? But Friday is pizza night for us, and my husband's coming home early, so I really do. Oops, I'm sorry, you couldn't see that. But there, I put the little pearls on. My apologies. Sometimes I just forget that I moved my camera. Pearls can also be colored by alcohol markers, so if you wanted your little pearls to be blue to match her eyes, you could color them blue. But color them before you put them on your picture, because you'll be really sad if you miss and that blue goes all over her face. So I think the hardest part to color is her dress, which I did polka dotted. You don't have to attempt the polka dots if that's too much. I stuck with the yellow, but I think what I want to do is just color the wings first and get that purple down. I'm going to pull out an extra piece of paper that I have here just to color on the purple. Make sure that this is a really good thing for you to do because, hey Linda, good to see you too. Having something beside you to just color out the color to make sure it matches the color that you think it is. Even though you get really good at using your markers, you sometimes will look at it and go, well, I'm not sure, because doesn't perfectly match the cap. Do you see what I mean? It's a little bit darker, a little bit more shadowy of a color. But anyway, that's what I used for her wings. And I just flicked out the color, and then I used my blender to blend this out to make it look like it was going, you know, watercoloring sort of. And then I added stickles over the top. So I did forget my blender, but you're going to want to have some Stardust stickles on hand, or any color really. It doesn't matter, but I use Stardust. And then we're going to blend this out. It's probably not going to look exactly like the last one I did it because, you know, it's a hand-drawn thing. So I'm going to start out with the dark purple, letting it just bleed right into that paper and get really, really dark in the inside, and then start flicking out. And that's it. A little bit, you know, let it seep into the paper in here, and then start flicking it out just little bits on all three of those parts. Because if you do too much, then you're not going to get that fun little wispy look that you're looking for. So now that we've got that out here, then I'm going to go back in with this colorless blender, and that's how I'm going to just kind of go around and down a little bit into that. And it's going to just like almost like an eraser. Just kind of bleed that out. And that's it. That's all I did. So if you want that to go a little bit further down, you just bring it, flick it the other way. And then I did the same with the blue on the inside. If you look real close at her wings, she's got blue on the insides of her wings. I did the same thing with the blue that we used for her eyes, which is a TB3. I'd rather use a TB2. It's a little bit lighter of a color, but my TB2 is it's dried up and it doesn't have the same color anymore, so I just need to replace mine. So I'm just going to go ahead and do a couple of little flicks here, and that's it. Just a couple of little flicks there to get some color down, and then take your blender and go right over the top of it. So I'll go ahead and finish these guys up here. And I need a purple one there. Then I'm going to blend that out. Careful of her dress. And right now it looks kind of tacky, I think. And when I first started out, I thought it looked kind of weird too. But after we add the stickles, it's going to start looking really, really cool. And be careful of her hair. You can do as many, as many flicks as you need. It's all about, how you like the way it looks. You can go back over it and add more if you want. And the more you go over it with the white, the clear, I mean, the more watercolored it's going to look. Purples and reds bleed a lot, guys, so just be really careful while you're doing those. Not to let it touch the paper for too long. Right there where I was pushing really hard, I was pushing that purple back in, and you can use it almost like an eraser if you don't get too much color down. Okay, and we're going to add the stickles at the very, very end because I feel like if I add them now, I'm just going to be sticking my fingers all in them. That'd be no good. And the rest of her dress is just basically a yellow, and I left some of that edge white. And then I left her ribbon white because I wanted some of that to stand out. You could color them in pink to match the flowers if you want. You could do her little shoes pink to match. Whatever you wanted to do, but I'm going to try to do it visually similar to that. I used this darker yellow in the center, so right around where her hands are. I'm just going to put in a little bit of color there. And then I'm going to bleed it out with the light yellow, which is the LY1. And hopefully, I was a little heavy-handed with my colors, so I got some on that white, on that little white here. You can go over that with a white gel pen if you want. Just only go over it with the white gel pen when you're completely satisfied with your project and you're not going to go back in and color. Because if you try to color with a Spectrum Noir or alcohol-based marker, I think any really, over the top of a whiteout, it's going to stand out like a stark white mark and it's going to look really bad and you're going to be disappointed. So if you're going to cover anything with a white gel pen, do it at the very, very end. And now the bottom of the dress, I left centrally some of it a little bit white and then did a little bit more on the edges just to make it look like there was light coming in there. So I'm going to take this LY1, the light yellow, and just kind of go around the edges. Around this guy. And then bring it up these lines. Okay, and then I'm going to go over that again to darken it up. And I'm just accenting the lines that are already there. I love her images because there's usually a way for you guys to know where to put the shadows and things. You don't have to think too hard because I'm not an art major, so I don't think about, exactly where that stuff's going on. But if you see now it's light in the middle, if we were to take this darker yellow that we had from before, this GB5, and we were to go up these and darken this up a little bit, that'll give us a little bit more dimension as well. And then there's a little bit at the top here. Okay, and then at the very end, I'm going to color in the rest of this where it was white with one very quick color of the LY1. Now, if you go over it and over it and over it and over it, it's just going to get darker and darker, and it's not going to look lighter. So if you just go over it really quickly, that's it, one dose, then you're still going to have that very light look in the middle. If you're not happy with it, go back with that same color and go all the way around again, and you'll notice that that center is still really light, like the light has just been shining right on it. You see that? And that's kind of what I did here, and then I did the polka dots over the top, but it still looks real light in the center. So we could still do the green, but I really kind of like her with just that yellow dress. I think she's really cute. I don't know if I want to do the green this time. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip the dots, and I'm going to use the pink to do her little ballerina-like shoes. But first I better go back to finishing her wings. I got a little sidetracked. Squirrel! So let's go ahead and just add in the rest of her wings, because I neglected that. I don't know what I was thinking. I mean, I jump around when I color too. I don't take it too seriously. I just do what I like. And I just color until it looks the way I think it looks cool. So then go back over this again. I'm going to try to push some of that purple back out. Got a little heavy-handed with the purple. This side too. Let's try to push it out with that blender. It'll go. Just keep rubbing at it. You can even see right there all that white blender pen just drawing out there. Right there. And I got rid of that purple in the thing. But it looks kind of gaudy, sort of. This is where you're going to want to come in at the very end and put your stickles on, and then the stickles make it look really stunning and really forgiving. I mean, look the difference of that. Like it was meant to be that way the whole time, right? So let's use the pink. And then I'm going to use a little bit of the LV too. You can even go back in and add darker. So I even brought out an LV3. Let's take a look at how dark that one is. That one's really dark. Do you see the difference in that? But if you wanted to add a little bit of that into your shading, look at the difference that makes. Careful not too much, because this is really dark. Holy man. Put it down and go, oh my gosh, that's crazy dark. I don't know if I really like that. Well, once you get some of it down, okay, wow, that really stands out. You're going to want to go back in with the lighter purple, LV2, and go back over the top of that and blend it out at the end. Okay, blend out that dark purple. I know they're really a couple of steps apart, and some people will be like, don't do that. But, you know, play around with it. Why not? So I'm just taking that lighter purple and pushing it right into that darker purple and blending it out. Look at how much more of a pop we get from that. And then if we really don't like it, we can go back in with our blender pen and lighten that up all the way down to the bottom if we want. So use the blender pen. I mean, I don't use it often, but when I need it, it really saves me. So there, I've taken a little bit of the darkness out of that. She's really popping now. That's cool. So you can just play around with your pens like that. Let's go ahead and use the pink. And what I did with the pink, or what I did with the green and the booties, was I put a lighter color on one side and a darker color on the other side, and I blended them out. I'm going to use this PP2, but I'm going to grab one other pink that's a little darker. I'm going to grab the PP5. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this out and check out our colors first. This is our PP5. That's how bright pink that is right here. Okay, and then this is the PP2. And I'll put it next to it so you can see how that looks. Very similar, but one's much darker than the other. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to decide like what side we're coming from, and I'm thinking this one. And we're going to color it. Let me make sure. Yeah, you can see me. Almost to the edge, but leave a little white. And then I'm going to do the opposite from this side. I'll color it out. Okay. Almost to the other side, but leave a little white. And then do the same thing with your darker one and go right over the top of the lighter one, but don't color the whole thing. Just color about 3/4 of it, of what you've already laid down, so that there's still some light pink hanging out the edge. Okay, then once you've gotten that color in, then you can take and swipe almost to the end over the whole thing to blend it out. Still leave a tiny bit of white at the end. It just leaves the illusion that it's really like ombre all the way to the edge. Okay, so that's just two colors, and we just did the light and then the dark and then the light on top. And we'll do kind of the same thing for the slipper. We'll color it all in with the really light color. And then we'll add just a little bit of the dark color to the bottom, like where the sole of her foot is. Just a little on the soles of the foot. That's it. And then you can blend that out by just going over the top of it real gentle. That's another one that you can play with too. Like if you want the soles of her feet to be even darker, you can go in and darken them up. I'm going to go back in with my PP5 there and just darken that sole up even a little bit more right on the edge. And I'm going to add just a little bit of it to the top of that flower. Some little dots of that dark to bring that darker pink out at the top to match her little shoes. Okay, so I added a little bit of the dark pink to the flower. That looks really cute. We've got those done. We've pretty much got her finished. Back her out just a tad. We're going to go ahead and use our gel pen at this point because I think that I'm not going to, we might want to add some little polka dots in white. That'd be fun. I want to go ahead and do a little bit of gel coloring in this little part of her dress that I thought should have been white, and I was heavy-handed with the tan and I went over the top of it. If you look really closely there, now it's super stark white right there. That looks really cool. And now let your alcohol and whatever markers you're using dry fully before you do this. Otherwise, sometimes the gel pen will soak up the color and it'll look like an off-white, and then you'll be unhappy with it. So let it dry completely. I'm looking to see if there's any other spots I want to touch up, but I'm pretty happy with it, so I don't think I will. Alrighty, and then we're going to add the Stardusticles, and I just put them on her wings just at the tips where it was the most faded out, at the 4 tips of her wings right there. I'm going to squeeze a little bit out and just kind of rub it back and forth. So I don't want it super thick. I want it to look like it's blending in with that color. You can do a little bit thicker out on the white if you want. Whatever you like. I just feel like if you put too much of it going into the purple, it's just going to look like you globbed it on. But look at the difference in how forgiving and how fantastic that looks. Like over here looks unfinished, looks like we maybe made a mistake. But once we add the stickles over the top, it looks like looks like it's magically supposed to be there. I don't know, I think the look of that is just quite stunning, and it's not something that I would have picked up in maybe a coloring tutorial, or I don't know. I came up with it and I liked the way it looked, and it was just a fun little accident. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up the other sides of her wings here. Again, I'm using Stardust stickles. You can use diamond if you want. You can use too heavy-handed there. Wipe it off with your finger, no big deal. I do have some swatches of some of these handy if you want to see the difference. I'm thinking that might be kind of fun. But there she is, 100% finished. And back her off so you can see she is slightly different from the other one that we've done. But still just as cute. And with this one, I went around her with a light blue marker, if you see that, all the way around. That's another technique you can use if you've got maybe a little bit of bleed out, or you want her to look a little bit more polished. You can put that little blue line all the way around, and it just, I don't know, it just makes it look really, really cool. I don't have any blue line on her, and I love her just as well. I probably will not blue line her because I'm really satisfied with the way she looks. I had some bleed out on this one, especially on her green, because I got really heavy-handed with the green. But she turned out just as beautiful. So you can hide my minimal mistakes. You can totally hide them. Just stuck my finger in it again. That's right, we got plenty on there. We're good to go. Okay. So I'm not going to have time to do more than just color with you guys today, although you guys can get all your stuff together and make cards out of all the stuff that you do. But she just turned out really darling. Let's go ahead and make some little white polka dots on her dress, just for fun. They're not going to be super, super duper easy to see. I think the fact that they're really subtle will be really nice. If you're drawing with your gel pen and you're like, it is not coming out, I'm getting like dry spots, it seems, or whatever, you might be pushing too hard. You have to have a real gentle hand and just let that gel come through that little ball. Yeah, that looks really cute. Very subtle white dots on her dress. Really pulled that out. Oh my gosh, that is just stunning. So cute. Really, really cute. They're not so overpowering. They're just gently there. Do you see that? Oh, she's just so cute. Cute, cute. I hope you guys have fun with this. I do this once a month for the Bloobel Progressive Challenge. And this month it is, what does she call them? Magical creatures, I believe. So she's got more than just this one fairy. Go check her out at bloobel.com. And if you want more inspiration of cards and background papers and stuff like that, and these little flowers that we've made, I do things like that on my channel as well. So here's some more flowers. We do all kinds of different paper creative techniques and things. I've also done these adorable little donuts. So if you missed those, go back to the last video that I did and you'll find out how to make the donuts. If you have problems with arthritis, I'll have a couple of sets of donuts in the store just for you so that you can purchase them if you want some. And I affiliate with Amazon. So if you go to my store and there are things that I don't carry that you really want, if you scroll all the way down to the bottom of my store page, you'll find links to Amazon. And if you use those, I get a small commission to keep my community growing and just to pump up the passion in this group. And I thank you guys so much for using them, for visiting my store. And I'm totally inviting every single one of you to come on over to Quality Crafts on Facebook. I would love to have you. We have lots of inspiration there. If you're feeling very pumped up and very excited about the value that I bring in my videos and you want to join me on Patreon by pledging at either a tier 2 or a tier 5, I would gladly invite you over to patreon.com/qualitycrafts, where you can get in on our secret group where we do all kinds of other fun things and we have prizes going on, and a silly selfie contest that just started this weekend. So here is a list of my patrons as they are now. I want to say a great big thank you to my two big new patrons, Brenda Tobin and Deanna Goldie. Deanna Goldie just joined today, so thank you so much for her. Deborah Miller and Deb Witt are my two VIP patrons, and then you can see all my other patrons listed in black in this little picture that I show here. And then another really fun thing that I do during my videos that I've just started is that what are people saying about this community, this Quality Crafts, the stuff that you're inviting me to, Jen? What is this? Well, here's what some people have to say about our community. Judy Evans Parker was a brand new subscriber, and she says, "This is my first time watching one of your tutorials. I love your ideas for beginners like me, and I love the don't stress about it attitude. Thanks," from Judy. And then I got this isn't the only memo I've ever gotten from Marty, but his wife Nina Hammond really enjoys my videos, and so he lets me know that I bring smiles and giggles to his wife's life, and it's really just fun to watch. So if you take and you hang out and you check out more of my videos, you'll start to see more and more of these little posts that I'm going to put up of what are people saying about our community. You know, why should you join? It's a lot of fun. I can't wait to see you guys there. So I'm inviting you guys to all come over to Quality Crafts on Facebook. And I can't wait to see you guys next video.